I'd like to welcome y'all to Secrets from the South. I'm your friend Scotty Ray, along with my co-host Terry. Now, you'll quickly catch on that we don't sound like the man on the 6 o'clock news. We talk a little slower, and we've got a southern drawl. But nonetheless, we've got a great podcast lined up just for you. We'll bring you some interesting stories. They're sometimes crazy and a little unbelievable, but it would be just plain impolite not to share them. So get yourself comfortable. Find some southern charm in a glass of iced tea and enjoy. And welcome to another episode of Secrets from the South. We're going to talk about something a little different this week. Well, we've all seen them. We all know one. We just don't talk about it that much. I'll let Terry kick this off. I hope you'll enjoy this week's episode titled The Cougar. Terry, by the looks of the magazine you got laying on the counter in here, I think I need to go back to a song to start this off.
Okay, what song is that?
Grab some Rod Stewart and break into some Maggie May.
Maggie May. Okay, why did you say that?
That's about older women dating younger guys, and that's what the title of your magazine says over there. What's the deal?
Well, it's talking about cougars. Do you know what the definition of a cougar is?
Well,
we're not talking about something that roams the wild.
Right. Well, there's probably two different definitions to that. One is that she's after a real young guy just to, and I don't want to say that out loud. What's a nice politically way to put that?
Just to have relations with.
Yeah, relations. That's the word. And then there's the other of marrying, maybe?
Well, this one says, this is another definition, and it's kind of similar, but it says a cougar is a term used to describe an older woman who uses the same predatory sexual techniques as men, including focusing on members of the opposite sex who are much younger than she is. And you've heard people talk about, man, she had nothing but a cougar.
Yeah, I've heard it all my life. Let me ask this. Do you know of anyone that is kind of like maybe a girlfriend of yours that might do that there's y'all out for drinks maybe and she goes, rawr.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess any person my age, most of the people I hang around with obviously are married, but I do have a few single people that are sprinkled in there.
Once a cougar, always a cougar.
Well,
they still do the
guess
rawr.
By the definition of cougar, I don't know why I even said that they're married, because by definition, it doesn't matter if you're married or single, right?
Right. In the real world out there.
Yeah, you do have people. I mean, we're not blind, no more than a guy's blind. I mean, if you see a good-looking guy come in, you're going to acknowledge, oh, my gosh.
I know. I get it all the time.
So I know you do, Scotty. Don't you ever get tired of that, though?
I had to say that.
I mean, do you ever get tired of that?
Oh, it's awful, Terry. It's just horrible.
You're just having to beat them with a stick, aren't you?
All the time. All the time.
All right, but anyway, I did think that was kind of fascinating.
Kind of goes back to that lady last week that told me, he goes, you really shouldn't leave home without that cowboy hat.
Did you really have somebody tell you
that? Honestly, I was in a doctor's office and I wore my ball cap in to have my eyes checked, and I was sitting there with a lady and we were talking, and she kept eyeing me, and she called me by name eventually. She goes, oh, I didn't recognize you. And she stares at me and she goes, you really shouldn't leave home without your cowboy hat.
But do you think she said that because she was trying to be...
No, she meant it as in like Dwight Yoakam. Don't ever take your freaking cowboy hat off.
I got you. But that's also kind of like your trademark.
It is, but trust me, she meant it as in I needed it to improve my looks.
Well.
It was funny. It really, I didn't take it wrong. It was just funny.
Did you bust out laughing when she said that?
Yeah, of course.
But, you asked me, do I know anybody?
Yeah, tell me about them. Let's name names.
Well, no, I can't do that.
Come
and
on, Terry.
I never would be welcome back into the house again. But I do have a family member that I don't even know if I would say cougar, because a cougar to me is someone that pursues the other one.
Correct.
And in this case, so I don't even know if I would classify this as a cougar, even though you might have gotten the label, this person may have gotten the label incorrectly, had a younger man pursue her. And they're married. And been married.
How many years difference?
Let's see, probably 15.
Yeah, that's cougar. That's cougar.
I mean, it definitely meets the definition.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that if you're trying to find more on the definition of a cougar. They're basically talking about anybody that is pursuing a younger man that the age difference is 10 years or more.
Okay, so 10 years more.
I used to hear people say, man, you're nothing but a cougar. Because I am married to a younger man.
How much younger?
4.5 years. So
you ain't a cougar.
Yeah, exactly.
You just fortunate.
I am fortunate. Very fortunate. He would be glad that he heard you say that. But I mean, you do hear, and there's all kind of movies that are out.
But women are like the ultimate. They're better at the game than a man. And of course, Hank Williams Jr. had a song years ago called "I'm Going to Go Hunting Tonight," and it was all about that, of tracking down the opposite sex. It was cute.
But I mean, why do you say you think women are better at it? Because I mean, you have guys out there that if they've got money, if they've got the reputation, if they've got all the, let's say, the toys, they do have a lure for a younger lady. Whenever you see a guy, and I don't mean any disrespect, because you could flip that around, and you see a guy that's, let's just be honest, he's kind of homely looking,
right?
Doesn't have a lot going for him, and he's got some drop dead gorgeous girlfriend or wife
it's money.
That is considerably younger than him. But that's okay. But I don't even know why do we even classify that as a definition, but we do if it's a female pursuing a younger man.
All the Bellamy saying about that is called sugar daddy. She needs a brand new caddy.
That's right, sugar daddy. So,
but women are just very good at it, and they don't beat around the bush. A woman that's older with a younger woman, it's all about games and mind games and this and that and the other. An older woman is, here you go, buddy.
All right. Well, speaking of that, there's an article that I thought would be pretty interesting. And this came out just this year by Today. And it says, more older women are dating younger men. Survey says, here's why. So when you're looking at this is, I thought, pretty interesting. Recent research suggests that a rising number of younger men are seeking older women and vice versa.
Okay.
Now, of course, case in point, if it's an older woman seeking a younger man, she's the cougar. But it says one survey found that 81% of women are open to dating someone 10 years younger than they are. And nearly 90% of men are interested in dating someone 10 years older.
Well, now I know.
So it sounds like there's hope in the world for these women that haven't been able to find the right guy. They just need to find that younger guy, it sounds like. In most statistics and even in our neighborhood, if you look around, if you look at the singles, it's generally more women that are looking for men than it is men looking for women. It's like there's an abundance of women over men in the neighborhood. Does that make sense? I don't know. I think it depends on what side you're on, because I have a friend that is absolutely beautiful and claims that she just can't find Mr. Right.
It's probably her attitude.
No, she's a sweet person.
Because, I do run my dating service. And
I keep forgetting that, Scotty.
I have plenty of success stories here of hooking people up.
I keep forgetting that, Scotty. I keep forgetting that you've got this dating service. I mean, that would save women a lot of time.
I mean, just come to me and I can find you a man in no time flat.
Well, listen, here is some traits. Not that you need it, but if you ever wanted to know how if a woman is a cougar, just because you see an older woman doesn't necessarily mean, and they're out and they're with other women, that they're necessarily a cougar. And I find this crazy that we even have to identify and give signs that they may be a cougar. But just in case you want to know.
You give your reasons, and then I'll tell you how to really pick one out.
Okay, well, here's the first one. It says identifying a cougar. Number 1, forget everything you think you know about a cougar. In fact, forget the term altogether. If you're interested in dating or having a romantic encounter with an older woman, you'll need to treat her like a human being, not some sexist stereotype of how a sexually active older woman looks and behaves. You always hear these things that women dress a certain way, and we get into this. Number 2, determine the woman's age. It says the generally accepted age group for cougars is 40 plus.
Okay.
However, some people go as low as 35 in their definition. And it says, many men and women are able to look much younger than they are. Some things you can look for which apply to both sexes. So if you think that this may be a cougar, This is saying that they'll have dry or dull or thinning hair in both men and women. It says sparse eyebrows and eyelashes, thinner lips, and eroded tooth enamel. And this is the thing I ask, who in heck is going to analyze it? What guy is going to go up there and start critiquing a woman? They don't even really remember what the woman had on. Did she have on a green outfit or a red outfit?
So far, I've got a negative on what this story
Okay, this
said.
also says thin skin. And it says the smooth skin on their neck gains ridges and wrinkles unless they've had Botox or a facelift. Dry and saggy knees and elbows. All right, here's another one. Evaluate her makeup. It says that a woman's desirability and physical attractiveness is a more important factor than it is in evaluating men's desirability. This means that while less attractive men might still be desirable based on their intelligence, humor, income, women are still largely judged on how they look. And for this reason, it makes sense that with age, a woman might amp up her makeup routine to try to hide the signs of aging that will make her look less desirable. And what that tells me is that men are shallow. Women can base that off of intelligence and humor and carry on a good conversation. Men are still all about, do they look good?
Well, it boils down to this, Terry. Men don't typically go get those surgeries, and women have to live with what's out there. And I think they've, through the years, become adapted to, well, I got to settle for this.
You think that's what it is?
That's my outlook
on it. But I mean,
on it.
you have to admit, when you hear guys talking that banter that they talk, I mean, how many times does a guy say, oh my gosh, I went into such and such, whatever, and I saw what word would you put? Blank woman. When I walked
I hear
in.
hottest all
Exactly.
the time. I hear the hottest looking gal.
The most attractive.
But,
oh my gosh, you should have seen her figure. They are never saying that it was in her intellect. There's a few, but most of them are not saying it was their intellect that attracted them to that woman.
But you've also got to factor in each man has a different scale of what a 1 to 10 is. And she, just because he said that, may not be that she really is a 10. I have learned that
But
through the
again,
years.
that's still what he's basing that off of is her attractiveness, regardless if your scale and the guy next to you is totally different.
I mean, or does she have teeth that makes her hot?
Okay, here's another one that says, don't think you can judge her by her fashion sense. The comical cougar stereotype is of a woman wearing clothes that are much too young and often too tight for her. And you've heard people say that. And truly, there are cougars that you can pick them out of a crowd. They're wearing something that their 20-year-old daughter would wear.
Yeah, there's a different name that I would use rather than cougar for that.
Okay. But this is saying now that how a woman dresses, regardless of her age, depends largely upon her own personal sense and style. While women of all ages wear push-up bras, older women may find them even more useful as their breasts will sag with age.
Whoops.
So I guess that would get discovered at some other point, but that wouldn't be the initial discovery. Okay, so number 5, pay attention to her self-confidence. In general, the older a woman gets, the better she knows herself and what she likes, and the more confident she becomes. Some signs that she is confident. Good posture. She's relaxed. A person with good self-confidence will likely seem relaxed in most situations. Eye contact. Confident people make eye contact and maintain it in social interactions. I could see that, can't you?
Well, and my whole synopsis on this thing, it isn't the look, it's that, and how you pick out who's what. It is all about eye contact. Every single thing about that. When you go, if you are a single person, it's about who you make eye contact with. Do they flash back? You ain't got to say a word. A lot can be said with just the eyes, and that's how you pick out who you go ask out.
Well,
Period.
I think, though, if you're going to be labeled a cougar, obviously you do have a lot going for you, or either you're a cougar that's way out of your league.
A prime example here. About 22 years ago, I went to a party in Nashville, and this was a very
upscale party?
Very upscale. Music industry leaders. And there was a lady that I worked with all the time, and I walked in, and she spoke to somebody, and she looked back at me, and I looked at her, and I said, "You're having an affair with him." And of course, I said, you're having an affair with him. I turned and walked. I was right. I saw it in her eyes. I knew the moment that I walked in, the way she looked at him. And he was an executive married across the room. I caught it. I knew it. And it just, I can tell these things. And I busted them.
Now, how old was she?
She was 32 probably. He was probably about 60, somewhere along there.
Okay, so he was the sugar daddy in that relationship.
Absolutely.
All right, so, but for a cougar, I could see what we just talked about the signs of them having self-confidence, especially if you're an attractive, let's just say successful, or you're comfortable in your own skin woman, then you do probably exude a confidence that maybe a younger female may not. And I would also think you have no trouble walking up to a group of younger guys, interacting with them, because, again, you're confident and you may be on the prowl.
They could be.
All right, so it says, now here's the other part of this, Scotty. This is the part 2, attracting an older woman. So now we've talked about the signs of an older woman, but this may be for the guys that are listening out there that obviously want an older woman. And again, according to the stats, 90% said that they were game to date a woman that was 10 years older.
So they want a sugar mama.
So, number 1, know what you want and be honest about it, whether it's just, I guess, to have an intimate relationship or a long-term relationship. Knowing what you want will help you figure out the best course of action to get it. It's also important to be honest with the woman about what you want. Don't act like you want a relationship if all you want is the intimacy. Women enjoy that too. She might be fine with some no strings attached fun.
I thought everybody had headaches. What did I miss here?
That's when you get married. That's the card that they pull when you get married.
I forgot.
Okay? You forget that. All right, number 2. Forget the stereotype. Sure, some older women might fit the traditional cougar stereotype, but just as many, if not more, will not. As with all people, desires and behavior differ depending on the individual. When approaching an older woman for romantic purposes, you'll do well to forget the cougar stereotype and simply treat her with the same respect and consideration that you would treat anyone else. So the guy's got to know how to approach. I mean, you've seen some guys that, I don't know who they would attract. They do not know how to have a conversation with a woman, and what comes out of their mouth is terrible.
Yeah, you've got to be able to conversate with someone. Be nice, polite, complimentary.
But some guys are just, they say the doofiest lines, and then some of them just say the most inappropriate things. But this is saying that for an older woman, she's mature.
Right.
She's got some years on her. She's not wanting to play games. So if what you want, you need to be up and direct with her. And she's either going to respond or she's not. So number 3, show her you're interested. If you're interested in a mature woman, let her know. Show her you're interested. If you're interested in a mature woman, let her know. How you show you're interested will vary depending on your situation, including where you meet the woman and how well you already know her. And let me just stop just for a second. There's a movie, Bull Durham.
Have
you ever
of that.
seen it?
I never watched it, but I know the movie.
Well, it's Susan Sarandon, and she gets with Tim Robinson. He's a much younger guy, okay? But he kind of feels the need, so to speak. But she's truly smitten with Kevin Costner's character in the movie. He's older, okay? So if you watch the movie, you can tell how, and she's definitely a cougar, that she just kind of tolerates his immaturity, I guess, for a lack of a better word, and his lack of experience. When she finally hooks up with Kevin Costner, it's obvious, no pun intended, because the Bull Durham movie is about baseball, that he's been around the bases.
I got
He knows exactly how to treat a woman. He knows exactly how to interact with a woman, and he knows exactly how to appeal to a woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So anyway, so that's a good one. But, you got other cougars that are in other movies that you've seen, like Something's Gotta Give with Diane Keaton and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, I know
and
him.
He's the one really who's more smitten with her because she's this famous author, the playwright. So anyway, but number 4, be prepared for rejection and take it gracefully. If you approach a mature woman and she rejects you, Don't be a jerk about it. It's okay to be disappointed and to even express your disappointment in a polite or witty manner. It's not okay to call her names or threaten her.
A man should always know his limitations. Let me say that.
Well, you know what? Us women, as we mature, we just get better with age. But number 5, be young. If you're trying to attract an older woman, don't get stuck on the idea that you may need to act like a man their age might act. Many women in their 40s admit to seeking younger men because they are more open-minded, adventurous, and romantic. Like when going out on dates, be adventurous and willing to try new things. Share your interests with her and learn about her interests too. As with any relationship, take pleasure in learning and growing together. And it said you'll also benefit from being adventurous and open-minded in the house. I'll just leave it at that. So anyway, there's a reason that the older woman is seeking the younger man. I don't think it's strictly just because there's no older men that are her age. They want to feel alive again. It's the same concept as a sugar daddy. As why he gets the younger woman. Yeah. Because it makes him feel younger. Well, it's kind of the same thing why you have a cougar, because she's tired of sitting at home and watching TV and getting in a routine. And maybe that's what her current husband or past boyfriend or whatever the case may be got in a rut, and that's all he wants to do. He don't want to do anything adventurous, and that's what she's seeking. And she's got the looks and the means and the intelligence to pull it off. And if she doesn't, she's probably going home to the same old husband that she's been sitting next to for the last 20 years.
One of the best pickup lines I think I've ever heard was a Ray Scott song. And you may not know who Ray Scott is, but the line goes, he goes, "Dang, baby, tell me how you got them jeans and tell me how I can."
I love that.
Wow. I almost feel like I just listened to a Garth Brooks song about her hands of leather turning into hands of velvet and dresses that she hadn't worn in quite a while. The need for thunder. Oh, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. My best advice I can tell you, there's a difference in between a cougar and a woman looking for a man. A woman looking for a man, he's just got to have a job and come home at night and let her boss him around. Well, a cougar, that's a whole different ballgame there. Well, yeah, they're the type that'll track you down and cook rabbits in your house. So be careful. Have a great week, and we'll see you back next week. We hope you enjoyed our podcast and will continue to listen more. We promise to provide stories that intrigue you, provide a little humor, reflect our heritage and culture, whether it's strange and alarming. Please leave us a review and let us know how we're doing. Let us know whether you liked or disliked. Do you have a story to share? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please email us at comments@secretsfromthesouth.com and provide a brief description of your story along with contact information, and we'll be in touch. We'd like to say thanks for dropping by. And if you don't mind, tell a friend about us. We sure hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We'll see you back next week here at Secrets from the South.